We have Lloyd Singleton today from Sumter County to talk to us about tropical foliage for color. Welcome, Lloyd.
Thank you.
Now, you've got some beautiful plants here. Can you tell us something about them?
I sure can. Number one, they're all locally grown. These are from a local nursery in Lake County, which is a big part of the foliage industry for the entire nation. So I wanted to take the opportunity to showcase some of these newer varieties that make excellent houseplants. This is a favorite one of mine. It's actually an alocasia, and it's called black stem. Alocasia macrorhiza.
I can see why.
You can see the black stem, but the form of the leaf is very, very elegant and big and showy, and it makes a nice, very nice houseplant. Or it could be used outside too.
All of these could be used indoors or outdoors?
Yes. Indoors, basically very high light. Outdoors, they need to be in part shade to deep shade.
And none of these are really cold hardy, will they?
No, they're not going to take any of the freezes that we might have in Central Florida. However, sometimes if they are in the ground, if you want to cover them with a blanket or something that can keep them warm enough, keep the heat from the ground around them. Otherwise, leave them in a pot and just put them inside on the coldest nights.
Oh, good. Now, what are these heart-shaped flowers?
Well, this is a favorite of mine. It's an anthurium, and this is actually a very nice cultivar that has a unique pink and green on the leaf at the same time. There's another anthurium over there by you. Actually, hand that to me. This one is called Red Hot. Now, this one has another story, too. It was developed at the Mid-Florida Research Center by Dr. Jay Kinney.
Oh.
And actually is bred for its compact growth habit, its profuse bloom, and its tolerance for indoor light conditions.
So I was going to say, it's nice smaller. Some of these can get quite large, so this is a good size.
It's been bred to stay compact and have lots of flowers high up above the foliage.
And they're really interesting shaped flowers.
They really are.
That are not like anything else you can get.
Just makes you think of Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, you said that was a colocasia?
That's actually an alocasia.
This was an alocasia,
Right.
okay.
Colocasias are similar.
Is this?
No, that's another alocasia too.
Okay.
But colocasias are often grown outdoors and they tend to hold their leaves down, whereas alocasias are grown in more shady areas and have their leaves pointed up. So that's one of the easiest ways to tell an alocasia from a colocasia.
Now, is an elephant ear, that's something that's more commonly grown outside, is that one of those?
It sure is. There's actually, elephant ear is a common name for a lot of different alocasias and colocasias. Most of the elephant ears you would see growing outdoors are colocasias. Yep.
Okay. Wow.
And they like water and they like sun, whereas the indoor plants actually like a little on the drier side and will take a lot more shade.
Now, some of those can get really large, too, though.
They sure can.
Elephant ears are called that for a reason.
They sure are. These, actually, that are bred for indoor foliage have a much smaller growth habit. This one, I think, is particularly beautiful with the striping on the leaf. It almost looks kind of like a mask or a map, and I think has a very nice texture to it. It's a great alocasia for inside.
And you say there are nurseries, retail nurseries locally in Lake County that sell these?
Well, these are grown by a wholesale nursery, and I think one of the best ways to get houseplants, particularly those that are locally grown, are going to your local farmers markets and find those vendors that are selling from nurseries that have grown them right there. That and some of your garden centers too. Recommend going to the smaller local garden centers because I think they have the best relationships with the local nurseries. So you're not adding a lot of transportation costs to get your plant to you. It's something that's grown right here in Central Florida.
And that's really nice. And we are the foliage capital of the world there, Apopka.
Absolutely.
These are all good houseplants. Are houseplants a growing trend? I know in the 70s everybody had houseplants, and then it seemed like more and more people were planting silk. Because it's a little easier to grow a silk plant than a real plant, but real plants have a lot of benefits.
I like to look at plants as a solar-powered, biodegradable air filter. It's an excellent filter for indoor air quality. In fact, when I walk in a room now and if I don't see living plants, It makes me a little short of breath because I wonder, has that air really been filtered from all the formaldehyde and benzenes and the other toxins that are put off by all the carpeting and the paints and the synthetic fabrics and things that are surrounding us? Plants are one of the most efficient ways to actually take those toxins out of the air. You know that plants take in carbon dioxide and give off oxygen, which is what we need to breathe well.
Are these plants especially good for that?
Oh, they are. I'd say most indoor plants are, but it's a leaf surface and a soil surface too that really helps to filter the air. So as long as it's a good, healthy plant, it's going to help filter your air.
Well, that's part of the next question then. How do you keep them alive?
All right. The most common mistake people make is overwatering houseplants. You think if a little bit's great, then more is better. It's not. If you waterlog that plant in that pot, that root ball, it can't get any air to the roots. So sure enough, shortly after, a root fungus will set in and your roots will die back, and then the plant won't be able to sustain life. What I like to do as a rule of thumb is ask someone to lift the plant. If the plant feels heavy, it doesn't need water. If it feels light compared to when you last lifted it.
Or like it's going to tip over easily?
Or if it's going to blow over, right, then it does need some water. And you don't want to always just water. You want to add some nutrient too. One trick I have is if I have a little bit of iced tea left, or maybe some water left from steaming some vegetables, I use that to water my plant because there's actually nutrients in that water.
Oh, wow, what an interesting idea. Let it cool.
Let it cool, of course. You don't want to burn
vegetable.
it. Right.
And now, but adding a lot of fertilizer to houseplants is, I usually don't think of that as a very good idea because you can build up salts.
Correct. Most of the plants that you are going to buy have plenty of time-release fertilizer already in the soil. And I'd say after 6 months you need to look at adding some more. But I find too that if I get 6 months out of a plant, that's pretty good bang for the buck.
That's not very long, but I suppose it is for some plants that are not really long-lived.
Well, it's good for the industry too. If it gets gangly or overgrown, it's okay to go ahead and compost that and buy a new one.
Or you can try cutting it back, because there are some plants that can be nicely cut back and regrown.
That's true.
But a lot of it depends on the light. I know I like to have rooms with lots of light, so I have big windows in my house, but a lot of people don't have those kind of windows and don't understand why their plants don't live long.
Well, and some plants are more well adapted to lower light situations than others, and you can talk to your grower and find the ones that are best for that.
What other kind of tips do you have for growing these, or where we should get them?
Well,
You told us that part, haven't you?
Highlight, don't overwater. Plan on getting several months out of it, and then it's okay to replace it and get a new one. Enjoy it. Think of what you might spend on a cut flower arrangement. It might be 10 times what you're going to spend on this plant, and yet this plant will provide color for months on end.
How often do you water?
Kind of depends.
Or do you just measure it? Yeah. Okay.
Check the weight.
And fertilizer is after 6 months?
After 3 to 6 months.
And then maybe once a month, or not that often?
Not even that often, I don't think, unless you really want to promote a lot of growth. A lot of times you want to keep the plant the same shape or form.
Not let it get leggy, yeah.
Right. Don't push that growth too much.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.